Okay. Om. Om. I speak just for a short while, for half an hour today, not much. Om. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om. Om Narayan. Narayan. Today we shall speak on Gita. Okay. The 13th shloka we just started. After stating Karma Yoga, a yogi who makes his life itself as yoga. Yoga is your relationship with Ishvara, a cosmic Ishvara. This is giving trouble. Okay. So, Jnani, I think this YouTube cannot be recorded. It's giving trouble. I think better to close down. So only Facebook alone, you can't do it with YouTube. It's not working. No, nothing can be done. Anyway, Sarva Karmani Manasa Sanyasyaste Sukham Vashe. A yogi takes to Vedanta Vichara, which includes meditation. Okay, the Jnanam includes Dhyanam also. The self-inquiry includes meditation also, contemplation. So such person, as a result of his contemplation, what will be his understanding? Now is talking directly the state of Jnani. How is Jnani like? What is his nature? It is told in contrast with the present state of an ordinary being, how an ajnani is and how a jnani is in contrast with this. So, sarva karmani manasa sanyasya, this we have discussed a little bit. He gives up all the karmas. See, that's an interesting thing. All the karmas means all the duties he gives up. That means he gives up the enjoined duties and also the natural activity of the body. How is it possible to give up all the karmas? See, sarva karmani sanyasya. In sarva karmani, Acharya Shankara says, nitya, naimittika, kamya, pratisiddha. So, both enjoined actions and prohibited actions. Generally, we do either any one. We follow either enjoined action or follow the prohibited actions, what you are not supposed to do. But here he says, both good and bad. Both good and bad actions he gives up. What does it mean? Good and bad, any action happens on the part of a person only when he remains an individual. Okay. But here, sarva karma sannyasa. So, Sri Krishna or even Shankaracharya too uses the word sarva karma sannyasa, giving up all the actions. Sarva karma sannyasa. Sarva means all the activity. All the activity means the very individuality. See, here is a very nice way of expressing it. Giving up all the activity, refraining all the activity is not possible unless you give up your very individuality. Because as long as you are an individual, you will be doing some or other work. Isn't it? Some or other work he does it. It's see, as you wake up, as you are in a waking state, wake up from sleep, your individuality is there. As long as you are an individual, you are identified with the body. As long as you are identified with the body, your sense organs keep functioning. You are knowing, you are interacting. You are interacting with the world. You know the world. With your organs of action, you interact. This is switched on. As long as you are a person in the waking state, this activity goes on non-stop. It stops with your going to sleep. When you fall asleep, the activity stops. It again begins when you are awake. This shows that your waking state, that means your waking individuality, is equal to your action. So now we use the three words: the waking, individuality, and action. These three are just one. Individuality, action is equal to individuality. As long as you are an individual, you keep acting. Be an individual, at the same time not acting, That's not found. Being an individual and not acting is not found. In your waking state, you are an individual and you are active. Active doesn't mean physically active. Active means as an individual, you are related to the second. You are related to the world. I am a part of the world, related to the world. This relativeness is individuality, isn't it? In your waking state, you are an individual being related to the other world. Other world is something other than you. You are also part of the world. So this you find in your waking state. All your interaction stops only when you cease to be a waking person. So he says, Sarva karmani sanyasya, renouncing all the actions. When does it happen? You renounce all the activity. Means the word all the activity implies individuality only, isn't it? All the activity, sarva karmani, because partly you can give up. By remaining an individual, you can avoid some action but continue to do some other action. Here Bhagavan Krishna is talking of all actions. All actions implies your very individuality, isn't it? All actions implies the very individuality. That means the very agent of action, karta. All karmas means karta, the agent of actions. So it is possible to give up all activity only when you give up your individuality. So in your waking state, you giving up all activity means give up your individuality. Your individuality consists in identify with the body. See, who is karta? Karta, the agent of action. Who is karta? A karta who is one who uses sense organs. Okay, one who uses sense organs, through the sense organs interacts with the external world, he is called karta. But to be able to use sense organs, you have to identify with sense organs. Identification with sense organs is possible only when you identify with the body. Okay? Senses require body. Body and senses both require mind also. So in short, you identify with your senses, body and mind. With these three, you constitute an individual. Without these three, you are no more an individual, like in deep sleep. In deep sleep, there is no body, there are no senses, there is no mind. Then you cease to be an individual. Okay? So in waking state, how do you give up all these three? Identification with the body, senses, and mind. Then you cease to be an individual. When you de-identify, you cease to be an individual. But how is this possible? The next word in the shloka says, Manasa Sanyasya. Manasa Sanyasya. This renouncing of all karmas, okay? Renunciation of all karmas. Renunciation of all acts means the very karta is possible only by manasa. Is telling only by mind it is possible. What kind of mind is it? Viveka buddhya. Shankaracharya says Viveka buddhya. A viveka, a discriminative understanding born of self-enquiry, self-observation. With the help of Shastra's teaching, you observe yourself, take your wakeful consciousness. In the wakeful consciousness, consciousness is there. In the your consciousness is narrowed down through mind. Your consciousness is narrowed down first through mind. Okay? The wakefulness means consciousness. Is narrowed down first due to mind, then due to body. Your consciousness is narrowed down through mind, through body. Through body you get located. Your mind, you are narrowed down. You get located through the body. Because body has a location within the waking consciousness. So the body's location I take upon myself. So I live in a point of space, a point of time. So body gives you a location. Mind narrows down your consciousness. Body, when you identify with the body, you get a location. When you identify with the senses, you are channelized, you get related to the external world. See, related to the another object, external world, external objects. So three things happen. Through mind, your consciousness your wakeful consciousness, which pervades the entire waking world. Wakeful consciousness pervades the entire waking world, waking state. The consciousness which pervades the entire waking state narrows down through the mind, gets located through the body, and starts feeling related to the external world. When you get located, your consciousness becomes, when it is narrowed down, you become individualized. Okay. So an individual center is born. Born in the sense you find yourself to be an individual called subject or a nova. Okay. A subject or a nova. This subject has a limited knowledge. Limited in the sense you come to know the things one by one. What is limited knowledge? The wakeful consciousness, see the contrast. Wakeful consciousness knows the waking state, the entire waking state in one stroke. Knows the entire in one sweep. Isn't it? The wakeful consciousness knows the waking state in one sweep, whereas the mind doesn't know the entire waking state, but knows piece by piece. Okay? Piece by piece. Therefore, it is the very nature of mind to narrow down the consciousness. The mind knows things piece by piece. The piece is called thought. Thought by thought. Mind knows the world thought by thought. Mind is a series of thoughts. Mind is a series of thoughts. The witnessing consciousness or the wakeful consciousness knows the waking state in one sweep, or in other words, it pervades the entire state. The wakeful consciousness pervades the entire state. Through mind, it gets narrowed down. Narrow down means thought by thought. It knows thought by thought. Doesn't know the whole state. See, we have got consciousness too. One is the whole consciousness of the entire state, including the world, time and place. It includes the entire world. It pervades the entire world. the past, present and future. The consciousness pervades the entire time, entire space. Okay. The wakeful consciousness pervades the entire stretch of the waking state, both in terms of space and also in terms of time. The entire stretch of time, the infinite past, the infinite future, the entire stretch of time, the entire endless belt, beginningless, endless belt of time, entire beginningless, endless belt of time is within wakeful consciousness. Spatially also, the near, far and remote, the entire space consisting of these three, near means where I am, far, away from me, remote, somewhere unknown area. The entire space can be divided into these three alone: near, far, remote, somewhere away, unknown place. Now the space consists of all these three, includes all these three, excludes nothing. There is nothing outside these three divisions of space. So the world consisting of time and space is included in the wakeful consciousness. Time and space we have included, but objects also can be included. The Sthula Sukshma, Vyashti Samashti, the entire world too is included in the waking state. The waking world is included in the waking state. So I remain an individual when I look at myself, when I take up the mind, when I start using the mind, see myself through the mind, I find my consciousness narrowed down. When I take up the body, it is not that they exist one by one. In your individuality, mind makes you, your consciousness, a limited consciousness, a thought, one by one thought, thought by thought you know the world. You can't know the world in one sweep. Through body you get located in space. It is on account of the body that I have a thought, I am here, located here. Through senses you get related to the external world. So these three things, mind, body and sense organs, all these three put together constitute my individuality. So as an individual, I get related, I interact. So, as long as I am an individual, I get related to other. Second thing, I keep interacting. My interaction decides the future world I go into. The present world I am in is determined by past actions, past karma. The present interactions are going to decide my future interactions. So, I get stuck. I remain an individual. I get related. I am forced to interact and experience the result of those interactions. But here he says, Sarva Karmani Sanyasya. An enlightened person gives up all his karmas. All, the word all has to be underlined. All karma means the complete individuality. It's not possible to give up all karmas without giving up the very individuality. See, it's a very strange thing. It is the individual who undertakes some work, who gets related. It is the individual who gets related with the external world, who knows the external world, who relates to the another thing other than me. How can I may avoid some relations, but some other relation, some or other relation is inevitable. I may avoid certain objects, but certain objects remain. Because as a subject, I am invariably related to the object. Subject cannot live without the object, without being related to object. You can choose to avoid some object, but not possible to avoid all objects. See, as a subject, I can avoid some objects, but not all the objects. Avoiding all the objects means ceasing to be the very subject. Okay? Avoiding, renouncing all the acts means all the interactions, means ceasing to be the subject. Okay, how can I cease? When you stop all your interactions with the other. So, when there is no object, I am no more subject. As long as I am subject, I am inevitably related to the object. Okay? As long as I am subject, I am inevitably related to object. As long as there is an object, subject is always there. It is the subject that sees the object. Avoiding object means ceasing to be subject. This is an important. Therefore, sarva karmani sanyasya, renouncing all the karmas, means renouncing all interactions. Renouncing all interactions means ceasing to be an individual. How is it possible? By knowledge, by self-knowledge. It is a knowledge not of a given object. It is a knowledge. Manasa. Bhagavan Krishna uses the word manasa, for which Shankaracharya interprets as viveka buddhya, by a discriminative understanding. Discriminative between pure consciousness and unconsciousness. Anatma. Viveka buddhi. Viveka means discrimination between Atma, that is consciousness, and Anatma. Anatma is what is known, it is a reflection, it is a shadow of Atma. I think Anatma is very difficult to translate. I think the very nearest translation of Anatma is shadow of Atma. See, Atma is the consciousness. Anatma is a shadow of Atma. Everything other than consciousness, that is, the mind is also Anatma, body is also Anatma, sense organs also Anatma. They are within the Atma. So I by identifying with them, I come to be an individual. So in order to cease to be individual, I have to get back to my real nature. I have to discover my real nature by ceasing to be an individual. Ceasing to be individual means de-identifying with the mind, with the sense organs, with the body. This is an understanding. This understanding requires a self-observation. When you observe who you really are, my real consciousness, where am I? What am I? In my real nature, I am not the body. Body is a shadow within my consciousness. Body is not pure consciousness. Body is a shadow of it. Body is visible but not the very consciousness. Sense organs are within the consciousness. Mind is also a shape of consciousness, like a wave in water. Mind is nothing but a wave of consciousness. The waves come in a series. Thoughts come in a series. So the thought or mind, both are same. Thought or mind are like the waves in water. Water is comparable to pure consciousness, the infinite consciousness, all-pervasive consciousness. The mind is comparable to a wave in it, a form of it, temporary, imagined. temporary and imagined. It is imagined because it doesn't really limit the water. Wave doesn't limit the water, doesn't control the water. Similarly, a thought or the mind means thought, thought means mind. A thought doesn't limit the consciousness. It appears, that's all, tentatively. So you have to release the consciousness from the narrow thought of mind. Mind is a thought. Thought is mind. Mind or thought means always perceiving a given one. Mind also means how do you perceive a given object. We already told mind means narrowing down the consciousness. Mind means narrowing the consciousness or knowing it thought by thought. Okay? It can mean knowing thought by thought, not in one stroke. It can also mean, third one, divisive thought, divisive into subject and object. A divisive understanding, a divisive knowledge is thought. Subject and object division. When there is a subject and object division, that is called mind. The pure consciousness doesn't divide subject and object, doesn't divide itself into subject object. Therefore, it is the mind that divides into subject and object. It doesn't know the entire object, entire waking state, but knows one by one, piece by piece. Okay? This is called narrowing down the consciousness. So, renouncing all actions. Renouncing all actions means renouncing the very individuality. And what makes you an individual? Mind divides you into subject and object, narrows down your consciousness, locates your consciousness, relates with the external world through sense organs. These three you renounce and come to be the pure consciousness. You stand as pure consciousness by renouncing these other things. Renouncing the mind, renouncing the body, renouncing the sense organs. Okay. Renouncing means de-identifying. De-identifying means not looking at yourself through them, but seeing the consciousness as independent of them. Okay? Renouncing means not identifying. Not identifying means not seeing yourself through them, but seeing yourself as you are independent to them. Not seeing yourself through them, or seeing yourself independent of them, as you are, like the entire consciousness which pervades the entire waking state. It pervades the time, space, object, subject entirely. Itself is free from the divisions of time. When you are through the mind, you have a divisions of time. That means there was a past. Through mind, time comes, space comes, then subject object division comes. Okay. Space means divisiveness, seeing piece by piece. Time means divisiveness, seeing piece by piece in a serial, in a sequence. To transcend time, you won't see piece by piece. You won't be in a serially. You see the whole thing in one stroke. Space also, you don't divide here and there. Here and there, entire space becomes one existence, one consciousness. So the entire space, the three divisions of the space which we discussed, near, far and remote. These are the only three rough divisions of space: past, present and future. These are the broad divisions of three divisions of time. So the pure consciousness pervades past, present and future simultaneously. The consciousness exists in the past, in the present, in the future simultaneously. The consciousness which pervades. Consciousness pervades means what? Pervades the time means exists simultaneously in the past, present and future. It sees all the three in one sweep, not a seriously one by one, one by one. It sees the entire time in one sweep. Time ceases to exist. Okay. It sees the space, entire space in one sweep, in one stroke. Then the division of space disappears. Then division of space disappears. It sees the subject and object in one sweep. The division of subject and object disappears for what? For the consciousness disappears. Okay. Consciousness doesn't feel divided. So this is called manasa, the one word manasa. Okay. Which Shankaracharya explains as Viveka Buddhya. This is the way you give up all karmas. You transcend the individuality. Okay? Giving up all karma, renouncing sarva karma sannyasa means transcending the individuality. Okay. You transcend individuality. You cease to be a person within the state, but you are the state. As consciousness, you are the state. You pervade the entire state. You are not an individual located within the state. You are the consciousness, the witnessing consciousness, Sakshi, who pervades the entire waking state. This is what he says, sarva karmani sanyasya aste sanyasya. I think I'll stop with today. Only this much I told. Sarva karmani sanyasya. Three more points we have to say in the shloka. Navadvare pure dehi aste. 1 point. Sukham vashi is 2 points. Naiva kurvan nakarayan is a 3rd point. So the 3 more points we have to discuss. Only first 1 point, sarva karmani sanyasya. Only this much I discussed. Okay. Sarva karmani sanyasya. Now, navadvare pure aste. 2nd point I have to discuss. Sukham vashi is the 3rd point. Okay. Naiva kurvan nakarayan is the 4th point. So only 1 point I have discussed today. Other 3 points we will discuss in the next classes. Okay. I think this is enough for today. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. YouTube could not be recorded today, so only those who want to see may see this Facebook alone, because YouTube some trouble it is giving, I couldn't record it.